I love Pakistan cuisine. You know, I love spending time in Multan. Oh, I hate your team for this year. And it's called Lydia by a man called Gabriel Faure. It's
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।
बात हो जाए कुछ आप पाकिस्तान के तालीमी निज़ाम की तरह।
दुनिया का सबसे जो मकबूल तरीन तालीमी निज़ाम है बरदा, वो है फिनलैंड का। और फिनलैंड में क्या करते हैं कि बच्चा जब स्कूल जाता है तो उसको मैथ्स, इंग्लिश, साइंस और दूसरे सब्जेक्ट्स नहीं पढ़ाते हैं। वहाँ बहुत सारे कमरे होते हैं, एक में मैथ्स होता है, एक में म्यूज़िक होता है, एक में आर्ट होता है, एक में कुछ और होता है। बच्चा जिस कमरे में चाहे जा सकता है और वहाँ पूरा दिन एक ही क्लास में गुजार सकता है। दुनिया की टेक्नोलॉजी, टेक्निक्स तालीम के लिए बहुत आगे बढ़ चुकी हैं, हम बहुत पीछे रह गए। और अब दुनिया में एक नया सिस्टम आया है IB के नाम से, जो कैम्ब्रिज को टेक ओवर कर रहा है। लोग अब OA लेवल से हट के IB सिस्टम की तरफ जा रहे हैं। और हमारे साथ एक मेहमान है जिनका नाम है इयन रीले। आप हेड ऑफ स्कूल हैं TNS बीकन हाउस इन DHA और आपने पूरी जिंदगी बाहर गुजारी है। अब आप पाकिस्तान में हैं और यहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं, बीकन हाउस के साथ IB सिस्टम को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं। मिस्टर इयन रीले, वी वेलकम यू टू दुनिया बोला। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच फॉर गिविंग अस योर प्रेशियस टाइम। माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, व्हाट इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन IB एंड कैम्ब्रिज?
Thank you for that question, and it's a delight to be here today. Now, with education in Pakistan, of course, it's been following the O-level, A-level system for many years, and also the matric system. One thing I would like to tell everybody in Pakistan is that the IB is actually older than both OA and A-level and matric, and it's actually 78 years old. It was founded from the French baccalaureate, yeah? And it basically has 4 different levels. So you've got the PYP, which is the primary years program, the MYP, which is the middle years program, DP, which is the diploma program, and the CP, which is the careers program, which is very, very similar to BTEC at the same time. So it's brought in a huge change into Pakistan's educational landscape because it doesn't just focus on the subjects, if you like. It focuses on the whole child through development of, let's say, different skills, including research skills, communication skills, etc., and actually prepares students better for university and beyond. But for those who can't go to university, just gives them a better understanding of the world around them and how to get into better jobs.
How do you see the current situation of Pakistan as per if we talk about the education standard?
I think having been in Pakistan, this is my 3rd year in Pakistan, and having been involved in a way with the SNC, the Single National Curriculum, with Mariam Choktai, but also working for the IB. So I have 3 current roles with the IB. I'm an IB workshop leader, I'm a program leader, and I'm also an evaluation leader as well. And what I've seen is that the SNC at the heart actually helps promote the Urdu language, which I think is fantastic, because I think every Pakistani is a proud person who should actually understand both English and Urdu at the end of the day. Now, the SNC is a base standard of education, and the IB program actually is a framework that enhances the SNC. Now, what has been very, very interesting to see, especially over the last 2 years, is the growth of the IB schools in Pakistan as well, with very famous schools turning to the IB. So, for example, Crescent Model Schools, which everybody knows in Lahore, is a candidate school for the PYP at the moment. Many of the LGS schools are also turning IB as well. So what we're seeing is more choice for parents as well. You know, that they can still go the Cambridge route, but they have the option now of going the IB route also.
Mr. If I was to ask you, what differences do you see between a student who's gone through the Cambridge system and a student who's gone through the IB system, what would you say?
I would say with the IB program, so if we look at the diploma program, which is the A-level program as well, that the diploma is far more difficult, if you like, in terms of subject knowledge, but also in terms of all the other components that they actually have to do. So, for example, in A-level, they have to complete 3 subjects. In the IB DP, they have to do 6 subjects, 3 at standard level and 3 at higher level. But on top of that, they have to actually do something called CAS, which is Creativity Action Service, where they have to help the community. They have to do an extended essay, which is a 4,000-word essay, and actually also put on a presentation. So it's all these different skills. We talked about research skills, communication skills, thinking skills. That's not covered within the O-level system, and actually it helps prepare students better for university. So last week I met one of my students, Fajr Khan, online, who's now at Harvard University, and she's finding it a lot easier because the IB's given her the skills that were not given by an A-level program. There's been a very interesting research done by Oxford University that actually shows a comparison between Cambridge and also the O-level as a DP IB system. So there's great strengths to the IB.
I ask you that does IB system supports technical education like robotics, STEM education, or any other that can raise the student skills in early ages?
So the IB, if you look at it from PYP, so which is the primary year program, all the way up, offers inquiry learning. So it's a child at the centre. So when we look at TNS, everything that we do, we don't have PYP, we have project-based learning, which again is Reggio Emilia inspired, and it's a child at the centre where we actually follow the child's interests. So for example, all kids at the moment are interested in science and STEM, they're interested in robotics, so this is included within units of inquiry such as on children's rights or on oceans, and we include technology into the program. Same goes when we go up into the middle year program, you know, that we really allow children to self-inquire. So we don't call our teachers really teachers, the facilitators of learning. Because at the end of the day, we call it student agency, where the students are given a voice, choice, which means at the end of the day, they have ownership. And this goes all the way up to DP as well. So by giving the children voice, choice and ownership, it actually allows them to really take control of their own learning, and at the end of the day, the teachers can then support the children with the other skills that are needed.
Mr. Reed, tell me about the future of IB system in Pakistan.
Absolutely. I think, you know, as I said, working for the IB, I've been to new schools such as Think and Grow in Lake City. I've been also dealing with other schools with the launch of the IB program. Parents are becoming much more accepting, if you like, of the IB system. Now, you will remember when the O-level, A-level system came into Pakistan, there was a huge backlash from the parents because they only understood matric at the time, right? Now, actually, the IB has been in Pakistan for 15 years, with the first school being in Karachi and the second school being TNS Beacon House as well. So it's been 15 years. Yet the parents are still need to be educated about the benefits of the IB, but actually we can see many, many more coming on board, and there's new schools opening up, such as in Faisalabad next year, with the IB program as well. So it shows that parents want change in the education system in Pakistan.
So Mr. Reed, important question. What brings you to Pakistan?
I love this question, and it's a common question that I probably get from different parents or different stakeholders every day. Now, yes, I had a wonderful 11 years in China as head of school. Great time in Turkey. You know, Istanbul is one of my favorite cities. Egypt as well, and of course Scotland, with my home in Edinburgh. Now, one thing that really got me to come to Pakistan was really Qasim Kazuri. Now, for the people who do not know Qasim Kazuri, Qasim is actually the CEO of Beacon House, but he's also the owner of TNS. And when I met with Qasim, we talked about learner agency and actually having, making sure that the students actually took that voice, choice and ownership. And it's something that was new in Pakistan. The second reason, again, was actually the PBL, project-based learning, you know, allowing the students to be at the center of everything that they do and the teachers being the facilitators. I'm very well aware that I could have gone to any country, but of course after doing the research of Beacon House, knowing how wide their reach is, and then actually coming to Pakistan, visiting TNS before I said yes and Qasim said yes, it was actually Qasim in his initial interview that attracted me to Pakistan, and that is why I'm still here and will continue to be here for a long time.
So we're grateful to Asim Suri for bringing such educationists like you to Pakistan, Mr. Relay. But of course, I'm sure you've spent some time here, so you've gotten used to the spices in Pakistan. What's your favorite food here?
I love Pakistan cuisine, yeah? And I like a very desi menu as well. So, you know, anything that's got chana in it for me, I absolutely love, yeah? So, you know, palak paneer also is another one of my favorites. Or another great one from the Punjab Club, beef nahari. It has to be one, yeah? So, love it.
So, would you like to give a piece of advice to the people for the betterment of education system in Pakistan?
No, absolutely. My advice to the people of Pakistan for education, doesn't matter what system you're in, is trust your child. Yeah? As parents, you do not need to do everything for your child. Remember, I keep talking about this voice, choice and ownership. Yeah? Give it to them from an early age so they can actually learn the 21st century skills for the future, and then they can move forward in their life no matter what that be. Yeah, I feel as parents in Asia, you know, because having worked in China for 11 years, we called them tiger mums. Here we call them helicopter mothers, right? And at the end of the day, it's because they need to take a step back and let children take the ownership, let them make mistakes, because kids are allowed to make mistakes. They don't need to be perfect, and they will learn at the end of the day.
Mr. Relay, trusting your child is very important. Now, trying to understand the IB system better, what is project-based learning? How does it help the student?
Okay, so project-based learning is something that's not new. It's been around for a long time. Mostly based in America, but is based around children's interest. So what you do, you take the standards, let's say for grade 3 or year 3, for maths, English, science, whatever, and you put it together and you create a project based on students' interest. Because it's been shown that students will learn from things that they enjoy, and yet at the same time they're also achieving the standards, but they don't know that. Yeah? So it's a great way of actually combining subjects together to actually do a project. So an example on that might be, okay, we're doing a project on children's rights. By the end of the project, you need to show your understanding on the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child using social skills and using communication skills, and you need to cover these learning outcomes. So it's very, very simple, and again, it's back to that voice, choice and ownership of the students as well.
All right, so but how IB system improves the skills of students in early ages as if they are doing a project-based learning? So how it affects on the skills to the students?
Absolutely. So with the IB, we have something called the learner profile. Now the learner profile is there, and it's language such as communicator, risk taker, balanced, that teachers, students and parents use to help them become all-rounders, if you like, at the end of the day. Now, this is also linked in with concepts. So students learn through different concepts. So for example, if you're doing a unit on the oceans, you might have a central idea called All Life is Dependent on the Oceans. And you can ask kids, what's this going to be about? And they'll say change and responsibility. So they know how to link things together, but everything comes together through future skills, 21st century skills, approaches to learning, right? So that's your Cambridge and your IB covered at the same time with the language. And, you know, teaching kids how to research, teaching kids how to communicate, teaching kids how to research in depth using different resources. It's not easy. So you have to do this from grade 1. And what's wonderful about the IB system and the PBL, project-based learning system, is that kids know it. So they know when they're doing research skills. They know when they're using communication skills. So all of this comes together to create a learner for the future, if you like.
Mr. in Pakistan like to follow the West. In the West, they send their kids to school at an age of about 4.5. But here in Pakistan, we start our children education at about 2.5 years age. What do you think? What do you prescribe? What is the best age to send your child to school?
I think this one's actually very difficult because I know that every country has a different thought on this, you know, because there's actually the Nordic baccalaureate as well, which is in Norway, and kids don't go to school to the age of 7. Okay, so my line with this is in the IB, you've got PYP in the early years, which actually starts from the age of 3 and goes to the age of 5. And actually, it's a mix of play and also normal work, if you like, at the same time before they actually go into full academics at the age of 5. So for me, kids need to learn how to play as well. There's a balance behind this. And play can be a wonderful way that kids can learn the basic numeracy skills, the basic literacy skills in Urdu and in English. So I would actually say, you know, for the age of, let's say, 2.5, 3 to 5, it's a balanced approach, and then you start your academics from the age of 5.
And so Mr. Relay, I'm sure it's been long that you're here in Pakistan. Definitely you traveled a lot also. So I would like to know that what is your favorite part of Pakistan?
Well, northern areas to me reminds me very much of Scotland, yeah? I mean, the mountains are totally beautiful. But actually, one of my favorite places is actually Multan. You know, I love spending time in Multan. I think the history of Multan is incredible as well. And I'm sure there's a big shock to the viewers here, because of course most people would say the north with Hunza, or they would say Islamabad, or they would say Karachi. I'm going to take a leap of faith and say Multan.
Really another important question. How do you connect with your students? I'm sure when they see a foreigner teacher, Gora, they must be calling you Gora or something like that. Did you face that?
Very good question. Now, I think when I arrived at TNS 3 years ago now, TNS had a very closed-door policy. So parents weren't allowed in the school. Now, the first thing I actually did when I came to TNS were 2 things. One, I opened up the school to the parents. And secondly, I actually introduced learner agency, so that voice, choice and ownership. So if you came to TNS now, you would see that many of the clubs and activities happening after school are actually, they're all run by students, every single one of them. And you'll have, for example, the Debates Club is hosted by DP Kids, and they support kids in the lower grade, including primary as well. Now, in the 3 years, we've actually seen now primary school kids at the age of 10 and 9 actually establishing their own clubs, with help, of course, and support from teachers. But that's the biggest achievement, right? With the parents, I've also set up the parent support group, which means that I meet the parents on a regular basis, which means there's a connection between all 3 stakeholders, okay, which is the parents, teachers and students. Now, I'm at the heart of that. Now, I may be a Gora, if you like, but I've got to say that people do not treat me as a Gora, because I'm an educationalist as well. My background has always been education, and actually I embrace everything that the parents say and ask, and also the children. Now, the children spend a lot of time in my office, not for academic reasons, but just for a chat. And that's how it should be. Gone are the days of, let's say, the convent or Aitchison, where the headmaster or headmistress were feared. That's not how it should be. It should be a collaboration between all parties.
Really good. Okay, Mr. Relay, I've been told by my team that when they were investigating about you, that they came to know that you are a really good singer. So could you please sing a song for us?
Oh, I hate your team for this, yeah? Okay, so the story behind this was I actually trained as a classical singer many, many years ago.
Wow.
And it's not because, it was actually when I was at school, because I play the violin and I play the piano. And, you know, I was doing A-levels and I had to have a 3rd instrument and I didn't have one. So I actually then had to, well, decided to sing. I didn't know if I could or not. And then within 1 year, I was actually part of the National Youth Choir of Scotland. And then within 3 years, I was part of the Chamber Choir and Soloist, and also sang for the Queen and Nelson Mandela as well at the heads of the Commonwealth. So I'm going to sing you a very brief French song, okay, and it's the first song that I ever sung, and it's called Lydia by a man called Gabriel Fauré, okay, and it goes something like this. Lydia, sous tes roses joues, et sous ton confrère, et c'est blanc, roulis ton salon, l'or fluide, t'es tout de nous. Now that's all you're getting, okay? You have to invite me on for another song.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Mr. Reilly, for being part of our show.
Excellent. And thank you so much for having me today. Thank you again.
Pleasure. Pleasure talking to you. यकीनन तालीमी निज़ाम बदल रहा है और बड़ा सिस्टम आ चुका है. दुनिया कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच गई, हम भी उस जाने बड़े उम्मीद करते हैं जल्दी पहुँच जाएं.
PTI का हकीकी आज़ादी मार्च सिर्फ बोल दिखा रहा है. 24 घंटे हकीकी आज़ादी मार्च, सबसे ज्यादा रील्स और सबसे ज्यादा रेटिंग्स के साथ बोल रहा नंबर 1.
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए.